Sooner or later, all singers get to a point where they ask themselves, should I become a singing teacher? Hey, welcome to the Monique on the Mic podcast. I'm your host, Monique B. Thomas. This show is your go-to resource for professional and aspiring singers. Every Monday, join me for a mix of solo episodes and insightful interviews where I share real artist stories, practical strategies, and mindset shifts. Whether you're just starting out or are already on your journey, you'll find the tools you need to transform your vocal path and feel supported. I keep it real, I keep it fun, and it's always useful and up to date. Let's get into it. What does it mean to teach voice, really? Am I a singing teacher who sings or a singer who teaches voice? What's the difference? What kind of lifestyle do I want to lead? When should you start teaching if you do decide to teach? We're going to look at all these things right now. For me, being a voice teacher means that you decide to dedicate your life to learning how the voice works in order to teach others to sing. This is much more detailed than just making a few comments here and there while your students sing to backing tracks. It's so much more than just telling them support more or smile there, sing with more feeling. A true voice teacher has to juggle a lot. There's what to teach and how to teach, or pedagogy, which includes a healthy dose of psychology. In my not so humble opinion, a great voice teacher should be able to diagnose, develop, and correct any student's vocal technique and help them to apply that to appropriate songs. These songs and keys should be chosen by the teacher initially. This application should lead to artful singing, or to borrow the old Italian word, bel canto, or beautiful singing. A teacher should also understand voice types and how to develop even bridging in all voices. In other words, the technique that they are teaching should be repeatable and not be limited to the students of the same sex or voice type as the teacher. They should also understand the voice in its different stages, children, adults, and seniors, and the special needs of each stage. In addition to training the voice, many teachers have other specializations, such as a particular genre of music like jazz, funk, or opera. There's other specializations like acting through song, winning auditions, language work, live singing, studio recording, and style development, which is my main specialization due to my performance background in various genres. So here's a question. Am I a singing teacher who sings or a singer who teaches voice? And what's the difference? A singing teacher who sings is mainly going to earn a living from teaching and will occasionally sing from time to time. Usually this type of teacher loves to teach but has very moderate stage experience and perhaps very little desire to sing more regularly. These teachers often throw themselves wholly into their studios. They have been long-term students of singing and usually continue to study because they are dedicated to the teaching of singing. A singer who teaches voice mainly earns a living from their stage work and naturally supplements their income with some teaching. If we look at these two cases more closely, usually the teacher that has studied vocal pedagogy has the knowledge. The singer mostly has singing experience. Not that the teacher won't have any experience, but it's not a given that they will have that experience. And it is very possible that the singer has some knowledge of how the voice works, but it is usually confined to knowledge of their own voice through voice lessons and not knowledge of the voice through more general classes. So the singing teacher might be able to help you get your voice together, but might be a little disconnected from the actual needs of a singer on stage or in the studio. The singer might only be able to help a few students, usually talented or very experienced singers, as they might lack proven methods of training. To make it easier to understand, we could say that a singing teacher that has knowledge but little or no experience has book smarts, and a singer with experience but little or no knowledge has street smarts. Obviously, we the students want both wisdom and experience from our teachers. The truth is, it is not all black and white. A lot of this depends on the next question. What type of lifestyle do you want to lead? While both teaching independently and being a professional singer don't necessarily equal a stable income, you're more likely to find stability as a teacher, especially if you work for a school. One major drawback to working for a school is that unless you're working for a major university and have tenure, there's a major cap on your salary. And also, in order to get that position, you have to have studied for a very, very long time and to have proven yourself. Working as an independent teacher means that you have to build up your studio reputation from scratch. This also takes a long time and a lot of work making sure that you are constantly getting good results. And it can lead to burnout. Ask me how I know. Also, you need to know what kind of teacher you want to be. There are teachers who work nonstop. They are an important part of the community in which they live, and everyone knows their name. They probably have regular hours similar to a 9 to 5, but usually much longer. On the other hand, do you prefer irregular hours? Do you like to travel? Are you a night owl? Are you highly creative? Do you love being on stage or in the studio? Are you low maintenance or really thrifty? Because again, as an independent artist, it takes a long time to build up your reputation in order to be able to ask for higher fees. Until then, the money is often scarce and the pay is usually low. This is what often pushes singers to teach in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not judging either way. People have to do what is best for them, and it surely is not all black and white, like I said. I myself am both a singer and a teacher. I started performing as a child and started seriously studying vocal pedagogy since 2005. So even though I had been teaching since 1998, I had more stage experience than teaching knowledge. That eventually changed when I decided to take the teaching of singing more seriously. The reason I had come to that conclusion was that at the time, the vocal training I had received had failed me. And I figured if I was teaching what I was learning, I was doing a disservice to my students. From that point on, I decided to dedicate myself to teaching voice by studying with some of the best teachers in the world, notably my current teacher, Greg Enriquez. This changed my life and the life of my students. For one thing, Greg was serious about the idea of not just teaching voice, but teaching how to sing. This meant my stage experience mattered. It gave meaning to what I was learning about the voice because I knew firsthand what was needed on stage and in the studio as he did. I therefore decided to find a way to juggle both. So, depending on the period of the year, you'll find me touring heavily or teaching heavily. I often tour with a travel piano so that I can teach while on the road if possible. I am therefore part of a third category of teachers who are dedicated to both. I personally think both roles feed each other. Being a singer keeps me humble as a teacher because, at the end of the day, I have to work with the same problems as all other singers. Being a teacher helps keep my singer self in check because, simply put, I know what I'm supposed to be doing out there in the music world. Now, one last thing before I let you go. This whole thing is not linear. I believe that you can always decide to teach at any time. I think one mistake a lot of young singers make is to start teaching before they have a decent amount of stage experience. Often, I'll hear young singers say, I don't want to be pretentious and go for a career in singing. Instead, I'll teach. I think that is misguided, though well-meaning, and it comes from fear of not making it as a singer. Firstly, what are you going to teach? If you haven't sung enough, how do you teach someone to sing? I mean, really sing. Secondly, it undermines how difficult it is to actually teach well. Just because everyone is teaching doesn't mean that they're all great. Now, I know we all have to start somewhere. I tend to think one should start on the stage first. This will give greater meaning to the vocal work that you do. You'll better be able to bridge the gap between vocal knowledge and singing experience. And I can tell you that is valuable. Teachers who have zero singing experience asking their students to do things they've never done does not make for great singing, and we are here for greatness, my friends. So with all of this in mind, are you more of a singer, a singing teacher, or a mix of both? If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're really liking what I'm throwing down, you'll love my Mike Masters newsletter. For more information on how to work with me And to sign up for the newsletter, visit www.moniquebthomas.com or check the show notes. Musically, Monique.